testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try to become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us. Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Skip.
Good morning/afternoon, Skip. How are you doing?
I am all right. And in fact, it's actually a pretty nice day. It started snowing here, which is like probably going to reappear in my joy at the end of the episode. But like it's big, fluffy flakes of snow right out my window. And it's just lovely. Like this is a great, beautiful town to begin with. But when it starts snowing, it's magical.
Oh man, I need to get in that mindset because this is the I was just telling Jody like 30 minutes ago, like this is the first year that I've been in Canada where I'm like, I'm not ready for the snow because the snows so much here, and then like you got to shovel everything. You got to dust off your car, you got to shovel the driveway, got to shovel the little patio for the dogs, our deck. Like there's so much shit to shovel. Which is why, like, I don't want to leave Canada during the wintertime because it's just a lot of work just for Jody to do by herself. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, I need to get in your mindset because the snow is lovely and it's absolutely beautiful when it does snow.
Yeah, it's really easy to get in that mindset here because I don't have to do any of those things. And because it's like a big city, relatively big city, you know, we've got that heat island effect where we don't get as much snow and the snow doesn't stick like it does in the surrounding areas. So when it kind of comes down and actually sticks, it's really nice. It's like a nice treat. You know, if you want to get snow, sometimes in some years or whatever, you have to leave Prague or at least the center of Prague to get it. And it's really nice when it, you know, gets like a coat there. We've got some sleds that we can take to the hill and the park across the street and the kids go wild. And it's real fun.
Prague, I feel like snow's just the right amount because it's not like overbearing. Like here, it's just, fuck, there's so much snow. But like my first winter there, it was like a winter wonderland. And it was my first real experience with a lot of snow. And I was like, this is the best. It was, I loved it. It was so great. And then it snowed again. I mean, it snowed every year, I think. But like there was one more year where it snowed a lot there before I left. Yeah. But it's just the right amount of snow in Prague, specifically in Prague. So any other news since in the past week that we haven't spoken?
Man, no, this has been one of those weeks where it was really about like survival for most of the time. Yeah, just kind of like getting things done. And, you know, Jess got back and then she got sick immediately and just kind of like a couple weeks in a row. And then she's leaving again next week. So it's just been like a lot of kid time and like trying to manage the house and getting like I'm an early bird on Christmas because I don't like fucking around with like busy malls and stuff like that. Right. And I like to have the stress off. So I've been doing the Christmas shopping and we're getting ready for our big Thanksgiving because we do Friendsgiving every year, as you may or may not remember.
I do remember.
Because people here, the expats, a lot of them, you know, if they go home at all for the holiday season, they tend to do it for Christmas. So every year we do a big Thanksgiving where we make some turkeys and some sides, and then it's kind of like a potluck where everybody brings something. That always works out really nicely because everybody brings something they're good at, and we end up with a nice mishmash. And we have always some Czechs that have never been to Thanksgiving before, and they're like, "This is wonderful and very American," and eating so much that it's painful is a new concept. And
that's I remember. I don't know if it was the one or two. I don't know how many Thanksgivings we shared together, but at least for one of them, I made single-handedly the stuffing. There might have been more stuffing there, but I brought a stuffing, and it was the first time I made it. It was the last time I made it too. And I remember I've always loved stuffing, and it was when you make it yourself. I remember the alarm rising in my brain how much butter is in there. There's so much fucking butter in stuffing. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm never going to eat this again after this because
now you know why you love it.
Yeah, that's why it's so good. Yeah, there's so much butter in it.
Yeah, I've taken to making apple pies because they just don't have they just don't have pies really, or specifically apple pies, which are like my favorite. It's my favorite dessert. So I've taken to making apple pies, which is a little stressful because you've got to make the dough from scratch and everything. And I never, even though they always turn out all right, I never feel competent at making the dough. But this year I've invested, I have like an actual rolling pin instead of just a wine bottle coated in flour. So, hopefully, and then at the point that this releases, it will have been in the rear view. And I'm going to just assume that everything went fabulously, and I had delicious apple pies, and maybe I'm still eating the leftovers if they didn't get completely consumed by our guests, which they probably did.
I have a Christmas question that I want to ask now because I'm afraid I'll forget closer to Christmas time. Do you guys, are the boys, I guess the older ones like past the whole Santa Claus phase, but like is the younger one, are you guys raising him with like Santa Claus or Ježíšek or neither?
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, okay.
Yeah, and we do the celebration on American Christmas instead of Czech Christmas, which is
instead of
on Christmas Eve. Yeah. So yeah, our traditions it's very much like what we grew up with. We do like one present on Christmas Eve night just to like get the ball rolling. And then, you sleep in and the kids are like dying in the other room. waiting for you to get up so they can open the presents, and then we do the presents in the morning, and it's Santa. And we've never talked with our older son about Santa Claus, but I'm sure he knows at this point.
Yeah, he's got to.
He's a clever kid, but he plays along, and it's all good.
Yeah. Well, you want to explain Ježíšek or just to Czech Christmas to anyone who doesn't know? Well, I guess most people won't know what it is.
Yeah, so Ježíšek is the baby Jesus who comes and delivers presents, and no one's seen him, so no one knows what he looks like. But it's the baby Jesus that does the present giving around these parts.
And are they supposed to leave like a window unlocked? And like when they're all kind of gathered in one room, I find it fascinating because they have a whole other hoop to jump through. Like with adults or with North American Santa Claus, it's like, go to bed, kids. The kids go to sleep. Yeah. Parents set up the gifts. Whereas the whole Ježíšek thing is like, come to the family room, kids. And then when you hear a bell ring, you know that like not just the gifts are there, but the Christmas tree is set up. A lot of times, like baby Jesus comes in and sets up the Christmas tree. So it's like a lot of effort for the parents to like set up.
More than I do in this case, because we've always done it the American way.
Yeah, I guess I had a lot of questions for my students, but yeah, they have to distract the kids, set up all the gifts, and the kids would like set up booby traps because they like suspect that it's not real, and they're like they want to see So the parents set up the tree, set up the gifts, and then they ring a bell, and they have to not be like in the same room, but also in the same room to not raise suspicions.
Right.
Yeah, it's super complicated, but yeah, they come in, and then the kids see the gifts, and it's kind of like a Santa Claus sort of situation, but with a baby flying through the air.
Yeah, their Santa Claus is Mikuláš, and Mikuláš Day comes out 2 days after this is released, December 5th. So they've got that, and we talked about that before with the angel and the chair that takes them away, very Krampus-like. Yeah, so they've got all that stuff. But I didn't really know the Christmas stuff because I've never really done the Czech Christmas because, I think when I was younger, I'd usually leave the country for Christmas and just go somewhere, often where there wasn't any Christmas because I was like just, enjoying time off. And then, once I married Jess, we're both Americans and we want to keep our immigrant traditions alive.
Yeah. You're warping the Czech Republic to fit your needs, as we've discussed before. Have you ever seen the Russian Santa Claus?
No, maybe, but I don't recall anything.
So they have one too. I don't know how how much is he's recognized, but I have seen the Russian Santa Claus. And you guys do your research because I'm if you're interested, because don't quote me on this, but he wears like the same outfit, but it's blue rather than red, and he's like ripped. He's not like a fat jolly guy. He's like a muscular Santa Claus, but he's wearing a blue like jumpsuit or a blue Santa suit.
I'm looking at some pictures of him now. Yeah, he's like all blue, and his name is Ded Moroz. which is very very scary sounding.
He's like jacked, right? That's what I remember, is that he's muscular. He's like a muscular Santa.
He could be. There's a lot of like beard and cloak going on, so it's hard to tell, but I mean, there's some pretty good photos, and I'll drop this in our outline so you can see it, and maybe I'll link in our show notes
or we could
people.
drop a photo in the comments or something. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we've been doing a lot of Christmas talk, but I kind of want to go back and sort of reflect on Movember.
Yes.
That's just passed. Our campaign has ended. Our last episode was an interview with 2 representatives from the Movember organization. And I just kind of wanted to check your pulse on the whole situation. How do you think it went?
I think that we could have done better in our Movember stuff. However, I think that this is, we talked to Matt Capeless and Dr. Peter Fisher, but speaking specifically about Matt Capeless, like he described his kind of journey into community ambassadorship. And, the first year he just did it by himself. And like he had this kind of accountability thing where he put it on the board. And I feel like that's our first year too. Like we're doing some things, but I was so inspired by talking to both of these guys that I am like setting my intention here in public so that it's embarrassing if I don't do it. That I want to follow in Matt's footsteps in trying to put something together for next year. And I'm going to start early in the year, I think, in 2026, so that I actually know what the hell I'm doing. And maybe I'll keep people abreast on those plans, and maybe people will want to follow suit, and I'll give them a cookie cutter design for it or something like that. And I may end up, or we may end up talking to Matt to see how he did it and get some inspiration and guidance there. And I also was so inspired by Dr. Pete. He just says Pete. I can't not call him doctor. I don't know why.
It's a respect thing, man. He was really modest about his education, but like, I don't know, he got his PhD. I feel like there's shit, if I had my PhD, I'd be like, you call me doctor, boy.
Oh yeah. But I've been like digging more into the idea of masculinity and different things with studies about men and men things that I didn't even know existed. And I'm finding that like it was just really fortuitous. Not only do we get to become better friends, but we kind of picked this topic outside the manosphere simply because what we were doing, talking and falling in love and building our friendship in such a like face-to-face open conversational way with vulnerability. Like it's so not from the manosphere.
Right.
But then in naming it outside the manosphere, like it's pushed us towards this kind of like subject. And I'm finding that it's really interesting to me. Like it's a genuine conundrum. Like what is masculinity? How do you address it positively? Like, and those are things that Dr. Pete and these researchers are trying to do. So I'm kind of doubling down on both of those paths. And I found the whole experience really inspirational. What about you? I've just talked for a long time.
No, man. And like, really, you're speaking for both of us, because I have actually very little to add to that, because I feel exactly the same way. I think, we did kind of stumble with our Movember sort of involvement, but we both came into it with like, what is Movember? It's the mustache. Like that's kind of what it is. But I think if you look at it from what we've come away with, man, at least for us, it was a smashing success, because I have learned so much about Movember, about the organization, about just men's health that I did not know before at all. Like it was like what Pete Fisher described, like, oh, it's the mustache company. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I thought Movember was. I mean, from an educational perspective, I think it was a real success for me personally. And I think we're much better positioned now for next year to be successful with what we're intending. And I think, talking to Matt Capeless, if he's willing, on how he did it and like the best practices is hopefully something we can do in the future. But one thing that I really, and you kind of said it as well, that really, really hit me with, talking with the 2 guys, specifically about Men Sheds, which is that Australian organization where you have men working side by side with each other rather than like, sitting face to face and having a discussion about their feelings or whatever. One thing that really hit me was how stark of a difference what we're doing is. You and I are facing the discomfort of sort of emotional sharing face to face. We're sitting down and looking at each other. And we're talking to each other, and it's in our intro, it's in our sort of manifesto of how we're doing this. But like, it hadn't really hit me. Like, yeah, we're doing it the hard way, but like, not the hard way. We're doing it directly, I should say. We're not dancing around any sort of discomfort at all. We're just jumping right into it. And like, I feel really good about that. It makes me feel good that we're doing that. And that's not to say that like anybody who has a hard time doing that shouldn't do it at all, or they're doing it wrong. Do you. But like, I'm really happy that we're sitting down and we're facing any sort of discomfort, and we're doing it. And it felt really good sort of realizing that. And I don't know that I would have really thought so deeply into it had we not had those conversations.
No, and then we're blasting it onto the internet, which is like an extra layer of vulnerability. But yeah, I think and I know that we've talked a little bit about also having Pete back to talk about some of the fascinating stuff that he's learned and is studying and doing with the Movember Men's Health Institute. And I know that that's something that both of you and we don't know that much. So, but just like you said, like in our intro, we say we've got no qualifications, and I think as long as we're approaching this like curiously and maybe learning together, and I think that this is going to be like a really fantastic ride for us, and hopefully anybody that's interested. And I think it's it's really important. It's come up in the media a couple times this week, or at least for us, about kind of flipping some of these narratives, because there's stuff about what happens to women, rape and things like that, and needing to flip that, not about just women, but like talking about this is a men's issue.
Yeah.
Like, why are men doing this? Why are men's standards so low? Why do we feel like boys will be boys is something that is explanatory and not something that like lowers the bar for us?
Right.
Because it's kind of like an explanation that says we can't do any better. And that's a sad state of affair.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. And I think the first thing that popped in my head was that meme that I sent to you with, who was it? Christina Ricci. Yeah, quoting something. I'm going to misquote it, but it was something along the lines of like 1 out of 3. We shouldn't be saying 1 out of 3 women are sexually assaulted. We should be saying 1 out of 3 men sexually assault women. Because that puts the responsibility on men. Because when I hear that, I'm like, whoa, I'm not that one in that 3, guys. Like, I want everyone to know I'm one of the good ones, rather than like, oh, this is happening to women. Because no, this is what men are doing to women. You know what I mean? It's exactly how you said, flip the script and make it about what men are doing rather than what's happening, as if it's this mysterious thing. Oh, it's this thing that we can't control. It's happening to women. Like, no, that's not it at all. We're doing that as men.
I think that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about adding our voices to, a growing chorus of men that want to speak out and be allies, not just for women, but for other men, and say like, we can be better. Like, if what you're out there for is connection and feeling like you're not failing and flailing, then like, let's build a better path. We can talk about the bad things that happen in the world, and then we can turn towards the positive and say where we see hope and how to move forward.
All right, well, taking a hard turn here from our intelligent conversation, I want to continue with this Upworthy article titled "Guys Share the 9 Worst Alpha Male Tips They've Ever Heard, and It's So Cringe." We've talked about a few of them, like real men don't eat salad / the all meat diet. Real men don't display love and affection for their partner. Sex with a woman on top / going down on a woman is not manly, which was a very spicy episode, I think. And the next one here is a little silly, but apparently it's real. Number 4 is wiping your butt is gay. What do you think about that, Skip?
I think that is so ridiculous. I think not wiping your butt is possibly one of the most disgusting things that you could do as a human being. And I think anybody that's been trapped on a tram with homeless dudes, like, and some of the smell that permeate because they don't have access to good hygiene the way we do. Imagining doing any portion of that on purpose is fucking mind-blowing to me, and just wild.
So, and for anyone who thinks that this is a stupid a stupid statement. I'm just going to quote from the article here, which is a quote. I don't know where they're quoting from. It says, "This is apparently a newer trend among some of the Andrew Tate toxic alpha male crew. A couple of women have complained on other subreddits about their partners no longer wiping their or washing their butts." So yeah, the whole thought process is that touching it between your butt cheeks is gay. So in case you didn't know that, Skip, touching between your butt cheeks is gay. So keep that in mind.
It's so wild. And the thing is that is so interesting is like if I thought I was gay, you know, it'd be something I'd probably just explore. Like I don't have a problem with being the idea that like you are so terrified of being gay, which is not a problem. Or at least I don't see it as a problem. Like the idea that you might be so terrified of being gay that like you're willing to have shit on yourself, like literal actual shit. And God, I can't imagine these guys' underwear situation because you know they don't wash their own clothes. Somebody else has got to be washing their clothes and dealing with their shit stained undies, which is just like, oh my God, like it's a wonder to me that there are women complaining about this because women leave those men like immediately leave those men.
I feel like this is probably like a I don't know, fluffed up sort of problem because, I mean, even if it were to be the case, I feel like a lot of guys might just, I mean, they know that's disgusting. And so they're going to wipe their asses and just say they don't because, I mean, which is a whole other bag of absurdity. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a gross apparent trend that's happening among the alpha male crew.
But if it's even just one guy, like too many. Yeah, we see posts and some of them are so unbelievable if they're all real from the same guy that you mentioned that are all so concerned with being gay. And like the things that they say are just like a lot of times patently gay. Like it's like having a girlfriend is gay. It's like, well, no, that's not, you're fundamentally like you're having a really hard time getting out that closet door, buddy. And, and it's real sad. Some of them are just kind of completely ridiculous. And I don't want to like speculate, like I read them and I haven't like looked at this person's Twitter profile or whatever, because I don't want to like add fuel to the fire. But like when I see the posts, if they're real, they're so bizarre and crazy. I don't even understand how a mind could function and write them, let alone believe them.
Well, and let alone have people just sort of on board with that. Like that's
right.
Who was it? It was Pete Fisher who had said there's research to show that like not only are massive amounts of young men like following these influencers, but they're actually incorporating these sort of practices by like 50% or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was like a 50% action response, which is just incredible. And I hope that that's like a one-time thing. And they're like, I didn't wipe my butt once and it was terrible. And now I smell and my butt itches and and my pants were poopy. And
and everyone was mad at me.
Yeah, right. But yeah, some of these things are like so unbelievable that it really just does boggle the mind. I don't know. I think, and then you know all these other things immediately. Like I said, like men that are so concerned with being gay about wiping their butt, they're definitely not doing their own laundry.
No,
you know,
sure.
They're definitely not wiping their kid's butt. So there's just all these other things that it entails of just like such a flawed, broken kind of person to be in a relationship, certainly with. And like, I can't imagine how any relationships would function with these men. And I do feel genuinely like, I don't know where they started. So like maybe women fell in love with them when they were like, you know, sane. But like, if it gets to this point, like you gotta like cut the ties and they've got to work. You don't need to work to get them to save the relationship.
To fix them. Yeah.
They definitely are the one that need to do the work.
You know, it reminded me, and this is a really, really old reference and a definite spoiler to this movie, but if you've seen American Beauty, I'm sure you have. with Kevin Spacey, and I think the actor was Chris Cooper. Is that his name? Does that ring a bell? Chris Cooper?
Chris Cooper, yeah.
Yeah. So he was like the militaristic, he was a retired military in a loveless marriage. Like he was a domineering man.
Right.
And his whole thing was like hiding his sort of, I don't even know that like that it was intentionally hiding it. He was just suppressing it. You know what I mean? And he was, it was fantastic representation of, a fantastic representation of the kind of man that we're describing. Great movie, by the way, even despite its problematic, I guess maybe main star.
Then there's some elements that definitely don't age well, but it's a very interesting portrait. And like, I remember thinking, I remember it being a very good movie. Like whether you agree with all the things that are happening, like the actual movie itself is very interesting and good. Yeah. And I think, like we'd talked before and we'd seen, I had since the very first episode have said like the people that are loudly homophobic, it's always struck me that they're suppressing something. Like there's no reason to be so upset about what other people are doing unless you deeply fear that you are gay and you hate that. Like I said, for me, if I felt any kind of inclinations, I probably would have just tried them out. But because like I grew up with being gay was just fine. Right. I just never had that inclination. But we did see somewhere it was like if you put me in a room full of heroin, I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to be like, I'm not going to do any of this heroin. Not a big problem for me. So like the kind of the vociferous reaction to any kind of homoeroticism or gayness or anything like that, even their own butts, that screams to me like the fear that they're just like right on the edge of being gay, and it terrifies them. And it's just like, guys, just like be okay with it. Make better friends. It's not the 1950s. You don't have to live a whole fake life and be afraid. There's plenty of people that think being gay is okay now.
Did you ever, this is my last tangent here, but did you ever see that this took place, I think, probably before we were born. I'm not sure. Maybe in the 80s. I'm not sure. There's an anti-gay activist named Anita Bryant. Did you ever hear about her?
I did, but tell me. Tell me more.
So I don't know her life story, but she was a trad wife, before there was trad wives, and deeply Christian, and she was a good-looking woman, and just had an anti-gay following and platform, and she was vocal, and she campaigned, and she traveled, and she spoke to people. And there is a wonderful, wonderful YouTube clip that I can find and send to you of her at some press conference. And she's sitting at a table with like other, I guess, anti-gay activists. And she gets pied in the face with like a cream pie. And it is so fucking funny. And it's really mean of me to say, but I took such pleasure watching. And this is an old video. It's not like it's a new thing.
Yeah.
But they're like, they're like, don't hurt him, don't take him out, like they're like let him speak or whatever it was, and they were like, the man she was with is like, let's pray, and so like they sit down or they kind of bow their heads to pray for the man that just pied her in the face, and as she's speaking with like all this cream on her face, she just like bursts into tears. I feel so mean saying this, but it's so fucking funny because it's so absurd. Yeah. She's there praying for this guy that pied her in the face for being a fucking asshole, and she's humiliated. She's totally humiliated, and it's I think the man that did it was a gay man who was like,
over it,
fed up with this. But yeah, anyway, it's a mean thing to enjoy, but it's really funny.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I have two things to say about this before we drop off. One of them is we were talking this week at me and my wife and my young son, and he was saying that he'd get rid of all the meanness. Well, maybe not all the meanness, because a little meanness is good, because like without meanness, you can't have niceness. And my wife was saying, well, I don't know if we need meanness in the world. And I was like, well, unless it's punching Nazis. Punching Nazis is okay. And my wife just looked at me and went, that's not mean. And I think this falls under the same kind of category where like it's justifiable and it's good to fight back in some scenarios, and it's okay to take a little pleasure. There's that tolerance of the paradox of intolerance, right? And I think we've talked about that before where like if you're tolerant of intolerant behavior, then eventually it leads to kind of, fascist states and
Right,
things
right.
like that. But the fix of that is, of course, the social contract, which is that if it's tolerant of things within that social contract. And once you break from that social contract and you're advocating violence or oppression of individuals, you're no longer covered by it.
Right.
You're no longer covered by that tolerance.
Right.
And so I think somebody getting a pie in the face for being shitty is all right.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pie. She wasn't shot.
Yeah.
She wasn't like ran into with someone's car. Like, it was just an embarrassing moment for her, caught on camera. And it kind of reminds me of the whole like protests in Portland with the ICE raids and stuff. They're in ridiculous suits, and they are. I mean, they're getting in the way of like quote unquote law enforcement, but they're in clown suits and they're being ridiculous. And that's kind of how I took this pie thing. Is like this guy hit her with a pie. He didn't hurt her.
Yeah.
He bruised her ego for sure. And that was lovely to me.
Well, and the other thing that I'll say, the second thing is, like, we have also talked about, and every once in a while I send you a link that just says one for the pile, and it's all the the Republicans or anti-LGBTQ people that either are pedophiles and have gotten caught, or get caught having gay relationships when their entire platform is anti-LGBTQ. And just this week, Madison Cawthorn, that famous douchebag that his whole platform for a while was like anti-LGBTQ, photos came out of him naked with another man.
Is he he's a veteran, right? Is he the guy that he's in a wheelchair? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
That's right. That's the one. So yeah, and it just kind of goes to everything that we've been saying. Like, this is not like what these people do. They hate themselves so much. They hate themselves so much that they turn all that hatred onto the group that they want to be a part of. And that's just like really, really sad. And you know what we need to do? We need to fix it by just loudly saying that group's okay. Just go be gay, man. It's cool. Yeah.
Well, that's the way. I mean, I think largely that's how people feel. They're fine with it. It's perfectly fucking fine.
No reason not to wipe your butt.
Yeah. Please wipe your butts.
Carlos.
Yes, Skip.
Are you ready to fall in love?
Let's do this.
All right. This is number 28 from the New York Times article, 36 Questions to Make You Fall in Love. Some of them are more like instructions, like this one. We are on 28, and if you missed 27, that's because it's in a future podcast. Tell your partner what you like about them. Be very honest this time. Saying things you might not say to someone you've just met.
Let me think here. My first thought is very narcissistic. I guess I'm going to go first, Is narcissistic in that I feel like you and I are like bizarro versions of each other. You know what I mean? Like, because we're very different, but we're also like weirdly similar. And I really enjoy that about you. I really enjoy how much you remind me of me. But that's actually, I think some of the best friendships are when there's a sort of mirroring of personalities, and yeah, I do enjoy that about you. But I think one of my favorite things about you is you have a kindness to you and a tolerance to you, and I don't mean like tolerance for like things that aren't accepted in society or whatever. There's just a kindness and a tolerance to you that I really appreciate, and I feel like even more so than when we were living in the same city, I can be open and honest with you in a way that I don't always feel comfortable with other people. So that's something that I really enjoy about you.
Well, I really appreciate that.
Hey, you got it, pal.
I was thinking about this. So, behind the curtains, we tried to record yesterday and we couldn't. We had a technical issue. And I saw this question looming on the horizon, and I had a really hard time at first. I was like, man, I don't know that there's anything I wouldn't tell you, and like, or anything that I've been holding back. And I think that that's the thing that I like about you, is that I feel okay. Like, I feel okay talking to you. I feel like I don't have to hold back, and like I can tell you about everything and anything. And there are times where like we talk a little bit off pod about things that we don't want to be broadcast, like whether it's because it's other people's business and we don't want like, to broadcast other people's dirty laundry or whatever, or if it's something that's a little more personal. I like that we also take the time outside of the podcast to share things that, I don't know, like I think I run into things and I'm like, oh, I should really talk to Carlos about this so that he like understands me better. Like that's such a treat for you. But or just like I should just talk to you about it just because it's, I don't know, it's what you do with people that you're close with.
Right.
And I feel like that's not the thing I like about you. That's the thing I love about you.
Hey,
I'm going to say that. Yeah.
Hey. Well, hey, then this is working. This falling in love business is working.
Yeah. So, and as far as, you liking me because I remind you of you, it's better than being self-loathing. I think that's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're rebuilding each other in each other's images. I think that's one way of thinking about it.
Well, and you are, because like if I had to pick something else, it would be that you constantly, like, I don't know why I feel the need to explain this way, but if, like when they're making like chairs or something and you have those bent pieces of wood that form the back of the chair, like what they do is they like steam it and they bend it and they shape it and then they let it dry that way. You're like the steam that allows me to bend towards the light. Like you keep me on track as I'm thinking about things to try and be more positive and think about the ways that we can approach things, not necessarily in just mean, nasty ways and make fun of them, but like also looking for the light and the solution and the productive aspects of those. So that's something that's both a challenge for me and like a joy that you help me do that.
Well, thanks, fella. That feels nice to hear. You did remind me though, that was something about you, because I also saw a peek of that question yesterday when we failed to record. I also like how you don't agree with like my well, no, that's you don't agree with. You don't buy my woo-woo stuff. But you don't dismiss it, and like you're taking parts of it and you're integrating it into your own behavior, and like that's pretty fucking admirable to me, because rather than just saying, oh, this is stupid, and like, oh, it's another one, like eye roll, another one of his little comments, you are actively incorporating some of these things into your own behavior. And that's not common. I don't think people actively try. Well, I don't think people often see something in themselves that they would regard as a deficiency. Not that you do, but that you see something about yourself that you you see something about yourself that you would like to change. Yeah, and you're listening to what I'm saying as far as like, this is what helped me. And even if you're not 100% sold, you're still trying to incorporate some of it, which I think is a part of my master plan in making you number 2 in my cult.
Well, you know who I learned that from is my wife. My wife, like one of the things that, I loved her as a friend. We'd known each other for 15 years when we started dating. Mm-hmm. And most people, when you want to talk and come productively to any kind of understanding, they tend to get really defensive about the way they are and who they are. And she was able to have really blunt conversations. We were able to have them together about things where I recognized that I was being a little bit more intransient, but she was very open to change and to admitting things that needed to be better or fixed. And it's something that I've really tried to learn from her, is being able to accept and see my own faults or deficiencies and work on them. And the fact that you say you're seeing that in me is really, really nice. It means that I'm, becoming a little bit more like my wife, who is maybe the best human I know.
Yeah, man. So from, 10 years ago when we first met, you were definitely more rigid. And of course I wasn't coming at you with these like voodoo ideas, but like, and I was 100%, I was way more rigid than I am now too. But yeah, I can definitely see a change, in your, reception to certain thoughts and ideas and and I won't say criticisms, but like, I don't know, pointers and ways of being, you know what I mean? So it's a positive thing all around.
I agree. So, Carlos, I have a question for you, and this is actually one that Jess brought up that we were curious about, because we have phrases unique to our household. And I know that you've got like calling each other Bert, but like we have things like that. So like one of the things is I started when we were dating, I'd say Dunzo and the Bunzo. And and I don't know if that's caught on more or if it's still not available to the world at large, but it became so common in our house that she at one point texted that to her sister, and her sister was like, "What? What are you talking about? What do you mean Dunzo and the Bunzo?" And now her sister has started to use it as well. So I don't know if it's like caught on in the larger world, and I'm surely not the only person that's ever said that. So no, I'm not taking credit for it like writ large if it is around, but things like that. We also say like hasta la pasta, which means nothing. It's just like what we say instead of see you later.
Yeah, okay.
Because it rhymes.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so we've got all these like little unique phrases to our household that and another one. Okay, so I'll give you one more example.
Okay.
And because my wife also asked me how I stop from doing this on the podcast, is we came up with a character which was Detective Clomp. And Detective Clomp was like a fumbling lady detective that somehow always got her man, but like very Mr. Magoo-like, right?
Okay, yeah.
And the tagline would be mission accomplished. And so at some point on this podcast, apparently I said mission accomplished, and she was like, "How do you not say mission accomplished on the podcast?" So what I'm wondering is, do you have phrases that are unique to your household, and regale me with the joyous tellings of them?
So we do have a lot of them, and I think of one right away, and I'm going to have to think for a minute longer for more. But the first one that popped in my head, well, first of all, I think having these expressions is an indication of like joy, because the mission accomplished is hilarious. That's so funny. And and having a whole story behind that, that's fantastic. It's creative and it's fun, and it's, I don't know, it's cohesive in like a family. So so well done. I like that one.
Thank you.
So the one that popped in my head right away. So when I was working in the Czech Republic in my first year there, I was working at a preschool. And I remember I was there by myself, because normally there was another teacher there who spoke Czech, but there was one day I was there by myself. And so I had taken the kids to the cafeteria, and these are like 5-year-olds, they're really small. And I had taken them to the cafeteria, and the lunch ladies all spoke Czech, and none of them spoke English. And I needed to ask them something, and I sent one of the kids. I said, "Hey, well, I won't say his name. I guess it doesn't matter. He's probably a teenager at this point." But I asked him, "Hey, go ask like one of these lunch ladies, XYZ." And he walked over there, like wringing his hands, and he was a really active kid, but he was really nervous to do it. As kids are, they're afraid to speak to adults in like a peer sort of situation. So he went over there, and I didn't even think about him. Like, go ask this, whatever. And so he went over there very scared. And he came back like light on his feet, like, prancing. And he was like, "Carlos, I did it." And so he was so super happy to have accomplished this thing that he was scared of. So ever since then, this is years and years ago, anytime I do anything, and Jody does it too now, we say, "I did it." So I'll come out of the bathroom after taking a dump, and I'm like, "I did it." It's always just kind of a celebration of like this mediocre task. And we do that a lot. I did it. So that's one.
Yeah, I should add that a mission accomplished, when we say that, it's usually when like we accomplish something, but not the best way. Like it's like when you smash a square peg into a round hole.
I guess a lot of them are also like stolen from other sources. Like two of them that I could think of just from the TV show 30 Rock, which is a hilarious show. Problematic in some cases though too. But there was one where Alec Baldwin had like picked up a prostitute, and he was really drunk, and like it was on Valentine's Day, and she kept saying Happy Valentine's rather than Happy Valentine's Day. And so I've incorporated that by saying like Good morning times. So yeah, greetings like that. Whenever there's an inappropriate time to say times, I usually throw it in there.
Yeah.
Another one where also in 30 Rock where what's his face, the actor, his name's not Tracy Jordan. His first name's Tracy.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan, yeah. So he was acting. He was trying to demonstrate his responsibility and how he can be a responsible person. And so he was wearing like a Cosby sweater, and he was like staying late in the office while everyone else went out. And by the end of it, it cuts to him like at a desk, like in the dark, doing paperwork. And he was like, "I don't want to be here," and he was crying. So whenever we're doing, Jody does it too. Whenever we're doing a task that we don't want to do, whether it's washing dishes or whatever, we say that exact same thing in that exact same tone. I don't want to be here. We'll even text it to each other, and so we know that's our sentiment at the moment. So I'll have to think of more, but I'll have to write them down as they come. But there's a lot of them, not quite as developed as yours. That's what is it? Detective Clomp, you said?
Detective Clomp, because it's mission accomplished. Yeah,
I love it. That's really, really funny.
Yeah, we'll even do like this whole another fine case solved, Detective Clomp. What?
Was this? I guess the kids have always been involved with those things as well, too, huh?
Some of them. They don't know.
Okay.
I don't think they know about Detective Clomp. That's just like a me and Jessica thing. But yeah, they do like Hasta la Pasta and some other ones. And we've got our little inside jokes, which they're funny, but it's like I guess it's really about trust and camaraderie and that bond. That's the fun part about those.
Okay, well, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
And it's maybe more for a longer conversation, I guess. But anyway, see what you can do with it. If you could relive one day of your life, I don't mean to change it necessarily or to like make it better or worse or whatever.
No, yeah, just experience,
just to re-experience it. Yeah. What day would that be and why?
Gosh, it's hard to pick. There are a lot of days that I wouldn't mind reliving or would enjoy reliving. The first thing that happens, and you were around for some of this, not much of it, but like you were involved, is the day technically before my son was born, because that's when the labor started. I don't know. It wasn't like we didn't have him yet. It wasn't like, you're still nervous, and it wasn't like a particularly joyful day.
Mm-hmm.
But it is sort of the end of the culmination of something, and like there's all this promise in the future, but a lot of the day was very mundane. Like we went to the baby hospital because they have like a whole hospital for giving birth here.
Yeah.
I mean, they have multiple ones, but ours. And they were like, nah, you're not ready. Go home. Go take a walk. And so we did. We went home. We took a walk. Her water broke. We went back. And she actually had the baby after... She actually had our son after midnight, like 16 minutes after midnight. So like we checked in, and then we were separated for a while, and then we came back together in the delivery room. And, there were a lot of things that didn't go right. My wife wanted an epidural, and
she didn't get it?
No. And we've heard many stories of the checks denying people epidurals.
Wow.
But they did it like the circuitous way. They're like, no, you're not ready yet. And then they came back in there. Oh, it's too late now.
Yeah.
She was pissed. But I don't know. I think it's one of the days. I don't know if it's really about even my son. It's one of the days that I feel like Jess and I were like one unit doing one thing. I was, taking care of her. We were together in something, and just that kind of profound feeling of connection was just so strong. Even if it wasn't like a picture perfect day, even if it wasn't the day my son was born, like just like the connection, I think is what makes me think of that day more than like our wedding for sure. Cause that's a whole hoopla, and there's all kinds of shit going down, and it's fun and it's wonderful, but it's also stressful and things like this. And this was stressful too, but it was a very quiet, private thing.
Yeah.
And that was lovely. And of course, you were there because you took our older son so that we could like deal with this. He had a place to sleep. So that was That was one of the wonderful things that you've done for us in the past.
Well, that is a fantastic answer, man. That was, that was way better than I could have hoped for. That was great. That was great.
All right.
You did it. You did it.
I did it. Well, that's one of our things. We have this song, which is from like a learning game that we sing to each other. And hopefully this isn't like too trademarked or something. But like when we do something, and somebody says, I did it, we'll go, I did it. I did it. I did it. Well, you did a super job. And I can tell you're right on track and you're going to excel. You did it. You did it. Well, we sing this whole little song along with the I did it, which is something you have in your household too.
That's funny. Yeah. Except for ours is a lot less colorful.
Yeah,
I did it. I did it. And it's usually when you emerge from the bathroom. So. All right, Skip. Well, as always, as we round this out, I'd like to know what your joy and or joys are for this week.
Well, I wrote down so many joys this week. And I'm not going to go through them all, but the first one is the lovely, lovely snow. The second is, for the first time, I made chicken tacos at home, which was just a joy. And of course, it's my wife's favorite food is tacos. So, So just like learning how to do just the taco flavored shredded chicken was lovely. I've got a lifting partner and we're doing a routine for the first time, so that's nice.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so that's fun. And the last one is a joy, and I already kind of mentioned this, but we have a lot of things that come from the manosphere and we don't always feel like covering them because they're negative stories or something. So I am enjoying the challenge because I feel like we need to find a way to talk about these things but turn them into something positive. So maybe one of the things that it's a challenge because it's hard to do with some of these things. But the joy is that you are making me stick to our guns about this being positive and being joyful. So I think figuring out a way to do that, and maybe even having a guest next year that will talk to us about how to talk about these things productively, sounds like a joy that is current and ongoing. So that's nice. That's a good one.
Well, good. I was afraid I was annoying you. I'm like, that's all negative, Skip.
No. So what's your joy this week?
I've got a couple joys here. The first one is very cosmetic, but there was a period where I think I mentioned this, where I dropped like red wine and coffee, so it was staining my teeth in a way that it, for whatever reason, it doesn't stain Jody's teeth, but like, man, like for a decade, I've had just like yellowing teeth. And it's affected my smile. I hate saying that. I guess I've never really admitted that, but like I don't really smile a lot in photos and stuff. And it's just purely because my teeth are yellowing and I can see it. And people are like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But I can see it. Don't tell me when it's done yellowing because I can see it.
We're always our worst critics, aren't we?
We are. And I think in this case, though, like having not bright white teeth is not like a problem, you know what I mean? But it definitely hits at my ego, and I've never liked it. So anyway, long story short, is I ordered this thing, this like whitening kit, and I've worn those strips before, and they never really work, and they always hurt my teeth and whatever. But this one's working actually, and so much so that like Jody's always she's the way I can tell that it's working, other than my own eyeballs, is then that I'm not fooling myself, is that on many occasions, like I'll be in the middle of talking to Jody, and she like is distracted, and she's like, sorry, like I'm noticing how white your teeth are. She's like, they look super clean and they look really white. I'm like, yes. So that's a joy. Nice. Like it's I'm able to smile again, Skip, in some photos. So that's a little joy, a little cosmetic.
Well, I'm glad
joy.
that you're able to smile.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
I always smile. I'm hyper aware when there's a camera pointed at me that like I'm among other smiles, and I don't want to be compared with like, oh, look how yellow his teeth are, sort of thing. So anyway, another joy is I had seen an article, I think it was BBC. I've got a link here for it, or a YouTube clip for it, about a man, and I was instantly reminded of you and me for what we've done, of a man who has spent 27 years of his life walking around the world. And he started in Argentina, and he's just coming to the end of his walk.
Very cool.
To somewhere in England. And he had rules for himself. He couldn't do this, he couldn't do that, as far as like the guidelines of his walk. But he has spent his life walking across the world, and he's just finishing. And more than that, the joy that I felt was hearing him say, they're like, well, what do you have? Like in the end of the clip, they say, what's your advice for people? And it's the same advice that I've always given people, whether they've asked for it or not, is quote. And it's the same quote that I've said is, don't be afraid. And it was just really, really, it was strangely validating to hear somebody who's done kind of the same thing you and I have done, saying the same advice. Like he's come to the same conclusion. The reason we're limiting ourselves is because we're afraid. And he said, don't be afraid. And I had come to that in my 20s, and I've preached it in my 30s, and it's set in stone now in my 40s, is don't be afraid. The thing that's stopping you from doing the thing that you want is that you're afraid, and don't be afraid. So it was nice to hear that, and it was a joy, and it was a reminder, and it's I'm really happy. I'm really happy to have shared that clip with. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but we'll put it in the show notes, and
all right.
And yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see.
And dude, I think you hit on the theme of the episode. Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Yeah. There you go. I like it.
Thank you so much for joining us. New podcasts every Wednesday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back. Have a good one.
Bye-bye now.
I have two more questions for you.
Okay, bring it.
I'm sorry. Now that we're at the end of Movember and neither one of us has yet shaved, how are you feeling about it?
So I have a love-hate relationship with this mustache because, one, I feel like it looks better than I expected. Like I like it, and I don't like it. And I was surprised by how much, like, I thought it was okay looking. And it's just such a different look that I've had. And the other thing I'll say, this is a very narcissistic episode for me, but like, I don't know, I can't think of the last time I've looked at myself in the mirror so many times is when I've had a mustache. Like, I'm constantly looking at my mustache, and I've never had one before. So it's like a whole new look for me, and I'm constantly looking at it. So how do I feel about it? I'm going to shave it off. It's time. Like we're just out of November, and it's ready. But is it my last mustache? I don't know. I can't say. I'll grow one next year. But maybe I'll grow one in between. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh.
How do you feel about yours?
Well, I'm going to be very happy to shave it off. Yeah. I don't think I look great in it, but I will say, and this is a dad joke, it's grown on me. Yeah, it looks better with some scruff around it. It looks pretty silly.
Same. Yeah, I always keep it.
So I did have one. It said jump rope update, and I'm dying to hear your jump rope update.
I don't know if I mentioned my jump roping agenda in a regular episode. I think I mentioned it in the one we're gonna release later on as like a filler.
Oh, okay.
But as a quick recap, just for you'll hear it again when we do release that episode, maybe around Christmas time or so. So forgive me if I didn't mention this in that filler episode and you've heard this before, but at the stations sometimes when it's a slow day, like there's a lot of sitting, especially on like the remote stations where there's just not a lot of calls. And back-to-back days of just like sitting around like hurts my back, and I feel like I'm just like sedentary. I am sedentary, and it's strangely exhausting. And I don't want to do push-ups and sit-ups because the floors are dirty and blah blah blah. And it's a bit of an energy and motivational thing. So Jody had mentioned, like, why don't you take a jump rope and just jump rope in like the ambulance bay? And I'm like, genius. So I took my jump rope a couple days ago, and I had to preface it with everyone who was there. I'm like, guys, I'm going to be jump roping in the bay. Like, don't judge me. So I was jump roping in the bay, and I was using my big clunky boots. I didn't take them off or anything. And I immediately got exhausted, and I was like, this is so tiring. And I did it a couple times that day, and boom, no problem. And then the next day was fine. And then I woke up at like 3 a.m. and my feet were killing me. And like, I couldn't, I was in so much pain, Skip, that like, there was no position that I could, whether I was on my back or on my side, on either side, I could not find comfort. I was in so much pain, not just like soreness.
Yeah.
And the arches of my feet. And I was like, when I got up in the morning, I stood up and I was like, I can't even walk. And I was just like lurching around for the first few hours. And I'm like, I took Advil, I took Tylenol. And I stretched out my feet. I massaged my feet and I was in so much pain. I was like, I might have to call in sick today. I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I'm going to have to like call in sick because I can't handle jump roping. But anyway, by the end of the day, and then my shift started in the evening, I was walking fine. But yeah, anyway, that's the jump rope update. It was really funny that like I couldn't handle the jump roping and I could barely walk shortly afterwards. So I'm gonna have to amend my jump roping and figure out a more comfortable way of doing it.
You might have like a bunch of little microfractures, because when I was getting close to the end of my walk across America, it was like the last month, my feet hurt. Every morning so bad, and for like the first couple hours of the day they really hurt, and for months afterwards. And I think what happened was I had a bunch of little microfractures from all the impact, and it took months for them to finally heal. So you might just be
well, I have a faint soreness now. It's like it's almost completely gone. So I think it was just like a stress of the tendons or whatever. I don't know, but it seems to have passed. And I think when I do it again, I'm going to take my boots off and just jump rope in socks. So
smart. Bring a mat. Bring like a little yoga mat or something.
Yeah, but the thing is, I already take everything out of my pockets, and like I got to be ready to jump in the ambulance like the moment we get a call. So like I can't be too relaxed. So I mean, that's why I did it with boots on in the first place. So that's the end of my story.